The Nordic countries Sweden, Norway, Denmark, Finland, and Iceland comprise the world's 12th largest economy, an estimated GDP of 1.38 trillion US dollars, and are among the most innovative, competitive, and transparent regional economies in the world. In this presentation, we'll overview the economy, demography, and infrastructure of some of the countries in this region. Norway has a population of over 5.3 million people. Nearly all people speak the official language Norwegian, and a good amount of the population speak English as a second language, especially people that work in international businesses. 82.2% of the population live in urban locations. Norway is a constitutional monarchy with a parliament that is elected democratically. The economy is very strong, one of the highest GDP per capita in the world. Norway ranked number 1 in the Human Development Index, or HDI. HDI is an indicator which takes into consideration several data such as life expectancy, level of education, access to culture, and much more. In 2018, Norway imported 86.6 billion US dollars of international goods into the country and exported 121.8 billion. This is a considerable income surplus for the Norwegian economy. However, Norway's economy is heavily dependent on the global need for petroleum. Petroleum and petroleum products brought the country approximately 61.4% of its 2018 revenue. The second largest export being the fishing industry with 6%. Norway's biggest imports are cars and other vehicles and petroleum products in 2018. Norway's primary customers are the United Kingdom, Germany, and the Netherlands, taking up approximately 48.2% of all of Norway's exports in 2018. The main suppliers in the same year were Sweden, Germany, and China. The United States was the 7th biggest consumer and the 4th largest supplier to the Norway's economy in 2018. The primary American product being imported were airplanes, mineral fuels, and other vehicles. Norway has a well-developed infrastructure. Transportation in Norway is highly influenced by its low population density and landscape. Railroads are focused mainly in the south region of the country, with some locations in the north only being accessible by water. 95% of the people have access to the internet. Approximately 63% of Norwegians participate regularly in online shopping, the primary sales category being fashion. One thing that's interesting in Norway, about 82% of citizens over the age of 55 use the internet daily, which is much higher than the global average. Approximately 83% of the population is regularly active in social media. And the average consumer in Norway is educated and researches products in depth before making a purchase. They tend to be willing to pay more to buy high quality products, especially in technology. Sweden has a little over 10 million people, making it nearly twice more populated than Norway with an approximate 25% smaller land area. In business, the most common foreign languages are English and German. Just like Norway, Sweden's government is based on a constitutional monarchy with a democratically elected parliament. Sweden's the largest Nordic economy with a GDP of $328 billion in 2017. It is a high-income economy with the highest rates of taxation in the world. Sweden over the last 5 years have had consistently a trade deficit of about 6 to 14 billion US dollars in goods and services. The main export out of Sweden in 2018, making up 7% of the country's revenue, was cars and other vehicles, mostly from the multinational Swedish car manufacturer Volvo. The second biggest export was petroleum. In the same year, the largest imports were petroleum and vehicles in that order. Sweden's main trade partner is Germany, being the number 1 consumer and supplier of products in and out of the country. The United States is Sweden's largest trade partner outside of the European Union. There are over 1,300 American companies in Sweden. Sweden is considered in the business world the primary market to enter if a company is looking to get into the Nordic market. In 2019, Sweden was the United States' 34th largest trade partner by value. Sweden has a very modern infrastructure. Sweden is a well-developed country in regards of communication technology. In 2012, for every 100 people in Sweden, there were approximately 118 telephone subscribers, and about 94% of the population are internet users. Sweden has for a long time been one of the most digitally connected countries in the world. 8.7% of all sales in the country was done online in 2017, a growth of over 5% in 10 years. About 72% of the population are enrolled into one or more social media networks, and 58% use it daily. Denmark has approximately 5.8 million people, 87.9% of which live in either urban or suburban areas. Danish is the official language, and English is the predominant second language. Denmark is a small country with approximately 43,000 square kilometers. It has the highest population density of all of the Nordic countries. Like many countries in the region, Denmark is a constitutional monarchy with a democratically elected parliament. Denmark had the 6th highest GDP per capita in the world in 2017. The country scores 11th place in the Human Development Index. Denmark in the last few years have consistently maintained a trade surplus of approximately 10 to 15 billion US dollars in products. Over the same amount of time, the country has consistently had a deficit of approximately 5 billion US dollars in services. Historically, Denmark has been very open to foreign trade. In 2018, the country's #1 export was medication, composing of approximately 12% of the country's export that year. The second product was petroleum, making up 2.7%. The same year, the two largest imports were cars and other motor vehicles and cruise ships. Denmark's main trade partner is Germany. Germany was the #1 importer and exporter of international trades in 2018 with Denmark. The United States imported 4.4% of Denmark's total international trade. In 2019, according to USTradeNumbers.com, Denmark's trade with the United States has rose nearly 24%. Denmark is a well-developed country as far as transport infrastructure and communication technology. About 97% of the population have internet access, and an estimated 61% of the population are active online shoppers. The main products sold online are fashion and followed by media and entertainment. The average amount spent online per person in the country has been consistently growing over the year, and in 2017 it was $3,500 per person per year spent online. Finland has a population of over 5.5 million people, 85.4 of which live in cities or surrounding suburban areas. The official language is Finnish and Swedish, and the most spoken business language is English. The government is a parliamentary republic with a president and a democratically elected parliament. Finland is a highly industrialized country. In 2018, approximately 78% of the country's GDP came from foreign trade. In the same year, Finland's main export were petroleum, paper, and motor cars. The main trading partners are Germany and Sweden. The United States was the 4th largest customer and the 6th biggest supplier to Finland's economy in 2018. Finland is a well-developed country, however remarks lower than surrounding countries in internet usage and number of telephone lines per capita. About 91% of the population has access to the internet. Finland has a population buying power of approximately 37,000 euros per person. About 3.3 million people in Finland shop online. Fashion and home technology are the two largest online sales sectors. In 2017, approximately 66% of the population between the ages of 16 to 64 were enrolled into social networks, a considerably lower number than surrounding countries.